Right, let's have a look at the 26th of May at about 2 in the afternoon. 2020, of course. Alright there, and how you doing on this beautiful day? These vlogs are getting a little bit on the bogged down side at the moment because the anxiety that tends to dominate my world is it's not good, especially today. And you know, it's not a get out of jail free card. You do, you know, if you suffer from anxiety to any great degree, you do have to try and mend yourself and get back into the ways to be able to deal with the sort of world on the level that it presents itself to you. And you know, whereas in the past I've quite often sort of, when you've got a sort of slightly more healthy mind, you sort of have rational fears, you know, say like the dentist is coming up and you fear, and the moment you get there and you're sitting in that chair, all the fear kind of dissipates and you just think, oh, I was worried about nothing. So glad to be here and getting it over and done with. But there's never that respite with anxiety when it gets the better of you as an illness. And you know, I find that I worry about certain things, and then if indeed they come to any kind of fruition, it's just a sort of I've been proved right situation, and I feel incredibly worried and anxious about the world in general and my future, and so much comes into it. But you know, it's bogging me down with regards to wanting to not just be like a crack record with regards to recording these vlogs and everything. But I can't lie, I can't pretend. There are enough people out there. No, actually I can lie and I can pretend. I do it each and every day of my life to just get through it. Not maliciously, not self-servingly, just to get through it. Isn't it amazing the crap that we come out with when we catch ourselves out sometimes? I'm more than capable of talking utter crap to cover my back. But you know, I don't want to bring people down, but I do think that people recognise it. I do think that people understand. And I think that it's a situation where it's good to have that info out there, even if it's just one person who recognises it. I know my video I did in light of the coroner's report into Keith Flint from the Prodigy's the inquest into his death, and it being a little bit confusing as to sort of the findings that the God, I'm trapped in a forest now, that the coroner found. You know, the findings are a bit strange to say the least. Anyway, I don't need to go over that one. But you know, there's a few people out there who've said thank you for putting a sort of slightly more sensitive side and a sensitive spin on all this. And you know, it's people have said, not my words, it's not what I expect to hear either, but people have said thank you. And you know, that kind of implies that it's helped them in some way, and I'm very glad about that, you know. Thinking back, so on cue, thanks for that. Years ago I used to be such a ridiculous perfectionist with regards to making these videos, that if something like that happened, you know, and I think back to the sort of early days that I was recording videos 10 years ago in my relationship with my daughter's mum, and those videos were apparently filled with joy, and generally speaking they were, to be fair, okay, there was very little deception. But that joyous person that you saw in my ex, that truly is her. You know, there was no play acting with her, she is that person. But quite often I would have got just past a complete and utter freak out and a strop at being halfway through a sentence and somebody ruining the idyllic illusion of being in the centre of the countryside. They'd use a power tool or something, you know. And I'd get stroppy, stop the video, insist on walking back 20 paces because it was such a beautiful area of the countryside. And you know, I was never weird with it. I'm pretty ruthless about my kind of former selves, but there was, you know, I never made it odd or anything like that. But I was a real perfectionist, and even at the time, you know, my ex would say, "You are a dickhead, aren't you?" You know, she would hold me to account. There's never any kind of Svengali weirdness. A lot of people, in fact, with regards to that relationship, she was so outspoken and still is, but has a very kind of fluffy demeanour. I think you all know her. But she is brutal. She is such an honest and ruthlessly honest soul. And generally speaking, what she sees in the world is joy, fun and laughter, and that's what you're going to get ruthlessly pumped back at you. But if you cross her, good God. And back in the day, you know, because there was the age difference and a lot of sexism came into it, a lot of people used to think the whole Svengali thing was going on, that I controlled a lot of her output and what she was like when she was slightly more aggressive and in people's faces about her feelings. But you know, the truth was, she was the one who approached me and started that relationship. That does not put anybody in any kind of driving seat in that situation, because I'm very glad she did contact me, because it was a two-way street. Had I come across the way we sparked off each other, you know, I can see why she wanted to spend time with me, because she could already see and feel the spark. And when we got together, she wasn't wrong. We clashed and we gelled in equal proportions, and it was magical, whichever way you look at it. But yeah, with regards to the whole sort of control thing, she was very much and still is her own woman. And I can remember in quieter moments when the cameras were off and we'd be looking through comments saying, "Dave just controls you." She'd say, "Isn't it ironic that you sit here when I'm telling you exactly what I'm about to press return on the computer and send that message to somebody? You're the one sitting here going, come on, calm it down, don't be so aggro. You can't talk to people like that." You know, I was always that influence on her, or tried to be, to just think a little bit more and not be so aggro. It's just so funny, isn't it, the sort of the norms of society. If a woman's being like that and she's in a relationship with an older guy, it's got to be him controlling her, you know. So much sexism, so much of the regimented attitudes towards what men and women are together, who wears the trousers and all that kind of stuff. But it, you know, it couldn't have been further from the truth. It was, you know, I think that this little part of this video is actually a nice interlude, because you know, it's not talking about blame. It's not talking about who was the craziest out of the two of us. It's just sort of like a bit of a demonstration of the passion that existed between us. You know, it was a 50-50 thing. And why I started this, I don't know, but it's been nice talking about it. You know, I'm glad things are the way they are right now. You know, I genuinely am. If ever there was a time where I'm fit for nobody and need to be kind of on my own in the world, you know, I do appreciate that aspect of life more than you could believe. Some of it is to do with anxiety and depression, that I want to be on my own, but I do fight it. As you know, I come here every day. You know, part of it, it's all part of my therapy. This is coming here every day and sort of sometimes literally forcing myself to do it. It's, you know, and recording these videos, it's a promise that I made. You know, it's a promise I made to some people who don't know me and probably wouldn't care if I did have a day off, but I've said I'll do it, and I will, you know, and I like that. I think what I'm saying is that I presented my life as a sort of highlights reel. Even in moments where I was trying to present the sort of perceptions of the darker aspects of life, I tried to make it a sort of highlights reel of life being so idyllic and so perfect and just so wrong for everybody else, and it was just never the case. And it's funny, those little things that you can nail later in life that sort of prove you were caught up in what Morpheus called the mental projection of your digital self in the Matrix. You know, this fantasy we have about how we're perceived. And you know, I looking back, I can see why I was perceived very badly, because just like so many others that I witness now in kind of critique, I can see how people who are a little bit wiser than I was could see. There was a certain element of distraction, a certain element of, not deception exactly, but a definite sort of highlights reel that was going on, and I think that probably was obvious to people at times. And I'm just so content with flaws now. I'm so content with projecting life as it kind of truly is. You know, I don't like to use sort of phrases like warts and all, because, you know, it's sort of a subconscious acceptance of beauty and ugliness, and I just don't see the world like that anymore. But, you know, as phrases go, it's the best one that's to hand. You know, if it wasn't for the ugliness, you know, the beauty would have no fucking meaning whatsoever. And, you know, I can see that so vividly. And, you know, I've wanted to sort of project a sort of image of wholesomeness that did exist, but had no sort of equal and opposite in my mind that I ever wanted people to see. Funny buggers, we really are. Some guy playing tennis, or is he having sexual intercourse?
I like it.